So the second half of being a fascist, after you have rejected the outcome of an election because it does not go your way, the second half is embracing political violence. Which political party in our country does this? Which political party embraces violence as a medium for pursuing and achieving their political agenda? This, via Justin Hart, is all of the high-ranking Democrats who have actually endorsed violence as a legitimate political tactic, as long as that violence is targeted at us.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
That's the Democratic Party. And it's not just that Democrats irresponsibly and recklessly use their words to foment violence, to encourage other people to commit acts of violence against Republicans. It's that the left is actively doing this themselves. In the streets, Black Lives Matter, one of the biggest leftist Democrat-supported operations in modern American history, uses street tactics of violence to try to draw attention to their very obscure Marxist political agenda. You can watch this video on the screen right now. What is this? These are Black Lives Matter agitators that are stopping cars. They're essentially committing carjackings. Why? So that the media does what the media does. So that the media brings attention to the political agenda of the Black Lives Matter movement. What is the political agenda of the Black Lives Matter movement? It's just Marxism. Abolish the police, abolish prisons, abolish our criminal justice system, abolish the nuclear family, abolish capitalism. These are obscure, evil ideologies. Black Lives Matter would never get traction on their own, so they had to latch onto a false fear that politicians have instilled in Black people in our country, telling them that you're going to be shot for being Black by a systemically racist police force. The Black Lives Matter movement hijacked that false narrative in order to give rise to their political agenda. When that false narrative was debunked, what did Black Lives Matter do? They committed violence. Why? To push their political agenda. The left is actively trying to harm individual people on the right because they are conservative or Republicans. And the Black Lives Matter agitators that took over our streets in the past 3 years admit this to media outlets, admit the tactics that they use to try to harm both property and people. The left doesn't just use reckless words, they actively partake in violence. I mean, look at what they've done to cities across the United States. It's less safe in cities across the United States because of the violence of Antifa, of Black Lives Matter, of radical leftist organizations. You can see this on the screen. This looks like a war zone. This looks like a third world country. These are people breaking windows, dressed in black, pretending to be militants, burning cities, attacking cops. People trying to cross the street are having firebombs thrown at them. Police officers are seriously critically wounded. Why? Because the left embraces political violence. Look at this shocking footage. And of course, it's political. It's political, opposed to Trump. It's political trying to label you and I as fascists when Joe Biden himself set the rules. He said, there are two elements that make you a fascist. If you deny the results of an election because you don't like the way it turned out, and if you embrace political violence. So which party in our country embodies these two characteristics? Which party denies election results? Well, that would be the left. And which party uses political violence in pursuit of their political agenda? Also the left.